Hi there, I'm Aidan, and this is the Whodunnit podcast. I'm here with my wonderful co-host.
Sophie, hi.
This is a podcast where we look at famous unsolved cases throughout history,
Yep.
and we ask the all-important question: who did it?
So today we are looking at the Zodiac Killer, which is a very, very famous case.
It was from the 1960s, I think, most, where there was 6 unsolved murder cases, but with each one came more letters from the killer to the police and like all these like codes and ciphers taunting them.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
Oh,
Very.
of course, like it took the whole nation by storm. It was a really big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Still is a big deal to this
Mhm.
day. You could
Yeah.
argue that the Zodiac is the most famous unsolved case ever.
Probably, yeah. It's very like, I don't want to say the word because it was a murder, but like iconic.
Iconic. I think you could use the word iconic in
Yeah.
this case. Like, I think that Zodiac is now this weird merge of obviously real thing
Mhm.
happened, but at the same time, pop culture has embraced it like mad.
Oh,
like
100%, yeah.
you will hardly find a serial killer program or movie that isn't like
Mm-hmm.
somewhat referential to what happened.
Yeah.
In any case, after those 6 murders, he went missing. Basically, no more murders were reported.
Yep.
And while some might find the hope, oh maybe he died or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's possible. Like, obviously, he'd be a very old man now, but he could still be out there.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah. No, I mean it's like,
Yeah.
and we've seen obviously people have the capacity to do harm.
Mm-hmm.
Well into their older years, so it's something that's like worrying to think about, of course.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to touch on like where they went.
Yeah.
If he died or was
course,
arrested
yeah.
for a different crime, maybe. I don't know.
Well, that's the ideal, right? You want to believe that somehow, some way, these people got, justice served to them somehow.
Yeah, like what made him stop?
Yeah, of
Mhm.
course. You know what I mean?
We've got a few different suspects. A first suspect that they thought maybe did it was Arthur Lee Allen. Lee Allen sort of had a past of criminal behaviour already. He was a convicted sex offender, and then he sort of became a suspect because he was close to the first crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, he was a horrible man. I think he was no, he was he was an elementary school teacher actually.
Oh,
And
really?
he got dismissed from teaching, obviously, because of that. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, Christ, he was. You don't want. Obviously, you don't want men like that teaching your kids.
Mhm.
And of course, he was. While he was a horrible man, being close to a crime scene doesn't make you a murderer. If you get what I mean.
No, it seems a bit like a convenient option. Like,
Aye.
oh, there's this convicted criminal who was near to the first crime scene. Let's just put it on him because it's
Well,
easy.
Maybe there's more proof you'd want to go into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lee Allen was identified by a surviving victim of the Zodiac in a photo lineup as being the killer, but there was a contradictory witness statement that said Arthur Lee Allen was a lot heavier than the killer, and that's what sort of prevented them from charging him.
I feel like the victims would have a similar recollection of who the killer was in their eyes, but
Yeah.
obviously, I feel like there's something interesting about that, the way that they both describe the killer differently.
Yeah, I mean, it is curious. It's very like, was it one person? Was it like, but also, it's probably also a bit of a trauma response. Like something
Oh,
really
yeah.
awful happened to them and their mind's like hazy. I
Yeah.
wouldn't expect them to
I mean,
know
I've
everything detail for detail.
heard often in cases where there's a police lineup
Mm-hmm.
and the police basically like guide you into picking someone.
Oh yeah.
They'll just pick that person
Mhm.
because they think, oh, that must be it, even if they don't know for
Mhm.
certain.
Yeah, it gives them an easy solve.
Yeah, of
Makes them
course.
look good.
Yeah, I think he's somewhat convincing. I think that there's a lot of times throughout history where people have
Mhm.
thought, oh, it's Arthur Lee Allen. But is there any more to him?
Yeah, well, he actually died in the early 90s, and when they were sort of going through his things after his death, they found a wristwatch in his house that had the same logo the killer would use during the murder spree, but that was all too like circumstantial to charge him with anything.
Yeah, my kind of thought is like, see if Arthur Lee did it,
Mhm.
he got away with it
Yeah,
pretty
he did.
handily. He got away with it. He lived the rest of his life
Yeah.
relatively unchecked for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it all sort of seems just like, whenever it was brought up, they were like,
Yeah.
like the police weren't convinced, and he sort of got away scot-free without anyone really properly looking into it.
Yeah, it was like nobody was like definitively convinced of it,
Mhm.
to the point where he just, if he did do it, he got away with it.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? It's obviously, and that doesn't bear thinking about. You know what I mean? It's like it's a
Yeah.
tragedy. It's like these people got, you know, who were viciously murdered, have gotten no justice at all.
Yeah.
Going on, there is another big suspect,
Okay.
Gary Francis Costi.
Okay.
And the thing was, he was uncovered as a suspect by a group in 2021, made up of these like ex-professional, well, not ex-professional, but like they'd kind of distanced themselves from law enforcement, but they were law enforcement at one point.
Okay.
It was this group that had basically devoted themselves to, hey, let's see who we can see who is the killer.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the thing is, it was a big deal at the time. It was in like a lot of newspapers, a lot of press, as being this like big deal because
Mhm.
because you know the way they frame it is always that they've caught the Zodiac Killer, not they've suspected somebody of being the Zodiac Killer. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But what they'd said was that in order to solve the Zodiac's infamous ciphers,
Mhm.
you would need to know Gary's name to figure it out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think that there's kind of a reach there, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Lee Allen, like he wasn't charged with having any involvement, so it just is a bit.
Yeah, it's true.
It's
I mean,
similar.
Yeah, I mean, he died in 2018 before anybody even said he was a suspect.
Yeah.
So it's like, if he did it, he got away with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's,
It's interesting though that it was 2021. That's still like, I don't know. It just shows how much of a.
oh
I
yeah.
don't know how relevant this case still is, even though it happened years ago.
Oh
'Cause-
yeah.
Yeah.
People like even now want to just take all these little bits of information and then say,
Mhm.
"Oh, he must be it. You know, we finally found him."
Yeah.
Because they want the fame, they want the glory.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's this thing where basically people are just like, "Hey,
Mhm.
let's go find this." Not for the sake of the victims, not for the sake of any of that, but for personal greed and self gain, which is, I think it is.
Yeah.
Obviously, if the killer would be found, no matter what, it would be a net positive. But I still think it comes from a place of disrespect.
Yeah. There's like selfish reasons behind it, and then it really, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
more so them focusing on themselves and less so getting the actual justice for the victims.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean,
Mhm.
Costa, he was never even suggested by law enforcement
Mhm.
as a potential killer. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
he could have just been a normal person.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think also people who especially aren't law enforcement, like technically, like just throwing a name out there, it can be harmful.
Yeah,
And like a lot of these people weren't good people, and that's why they were like had the finger pointed to them. It's
Yeah.
still a bit. I don't know. It's like, it's not great.
it doesn't ring well with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't, like, I don't think that these like sleuths, amateur sleuths, have any sort of place in this at this point in time. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's been that long. Just let it rest. I think
Yeah.
that's the something to be said of all of our kind of episodes. It's like people who aren't involved with anything in relation to
Mhm.
this case just getting involved for the sake of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's talking about it, which is fine, and obviously
Oh,
like
yeah,
it's something that
we're doing that.
happened. It's like, and then there's digging up old dirt, and it's like, it's disrespectful towards the families as well. It
Yeah.
might just be like bringing up old feelings towards them. Like if they are then like, actually, it was this person who you've never heard of, and like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it gets them all wound up because it's like maybe we could find the killer, and actually it's just giving them false hope every
thi-
single time.
Yeah, I think that all it does is it removes the people from the situation and just
Mhm.
makes them into like some sort of like figure, like
Yeah.
that's not real.
It's like dehumanizing a little bit. Like it's
Yeah.
not like this is a real person that this awful thing happened to. It's
Yeah.
like a game. It's like fun. It's like, oh, who did this?
Who
like,
did it? Let's find out
Yeah,
in this
literally.
episode of Catching the Killers.
Yeah,
know what I
there's
mean?
like
It's like,
talking about it with respect, and then
Yeah.
there's fully disturbing it. And
It's like when you see all those well, fittingly enough, we'll go into this later about
Mhm.
documentaries. But that's the thing. You see all these documentaries that take a bit of a light tone with it, even when they're trying to like find and hunt down victims, like just like to ask them about things. It's like there's no place for it.
Yeah, there's like it really just does not sit like right with me. Like tracking down victims' families and just
Yeah, no, it's like kind of disgraceful to be honest.
Yeah.
But anyways, on to our last suspect.
Yep, it was a man called Jack Terrence. Jack Terrence was actually accused by his own stepson because he said that would make sort of vague threats to him as a child where he referred to like things that he had done in the past being like harmful and like
Yeah.
saying that he had like hurt people and stuff as a way to be scary towards his stepson.
Oh yeah, no, like if to my recollection, he'd said even like that he had gotten in fights and stabbed many people. And it's
Yeah.
like that's absolutely horrible to say to a child. Like you
Yeah,
know what I
it's
mean?
crazy.
It's like
It's
yeah,
a crazy thing. Like
Oh,
finish
yeah.
your dinner, I stab people.
yeah,
Like, that's
no.
not.
Clean your room.
Yeah, no.
Just
it's-
remember, I've killed people. You know what I mean?
That's
It's like-
crazy.
yeah, it's not respect. Yeah, it's bad. Let's
Mhm.
not. It's bad. That's the least way to put it. You know, but at the same time, hardly evidence of him being Zodiac. Like
I mean,
let's be.
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it shows that he's a
bad guy.
bad parent, but
Not every bad guy
Yeah.
though was Zodiac. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah. However, though, when Jack Terrence died, his stepson discovered bloodstained knives as well as a hood which had the logo of the Zodiac on it.
oh
Yeah. So once Jack Terrence died,
yeah.
his stepson was sort of going through things again and discovered bloodstained knives as well as a hood which had the logo of the Zodiac on it, which is very
Yeah.
interesting.
That's absolutely just bizarre. Like let's be honest here. You have no reason to have that if you're not the
it's
killer.
interesting. I don't know. His own brother agreed with the stepson's claims as well, even stating that sort of when they went shooting, Terrence would mimic the Zodiac Killer.
Right.
I mean, there's also the idea though that he could just be like fascinated.
I don't know
I
about
don't know.
that.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean? From what I could tell as well, he also fit the physical kind of description of the Zodiac Killer that was
Mhm.
given to police. So
That's true.
there is a lot to him, but at the same time, it's like it's one of these things as well where this was only brought up recently. Like this is not a new. This is a very new suspect. He's also passed on,
Mhm.
which is something that's like I don't understand people bringing it up out of the dirt at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like whoever did the murders, even though I know that I said, oh, maybe they're still alive, they're probably dead. Like, let's not.
Well, like 3 of these
Yeah.
suspects are dead,
All of our suspects
Yeah.
are dead.
so it's
You
just
know? So, my thing is, like, every single suspect we brought up today is dead. They're
Yeah.
passed on. They're deceased. They've they've passed on. And it's like, where is the justice?
Mhm.
Where is the justice at this point? I don't think there is any. And I don't think there ever will be.
Yeah, I don't know. Famous cases, maybe it's like, I think it's an interesting take, but famous cases like these, maybe people don't want to solve them like proper law enforcement because it makes them
Okay.
that iconic.
Yeah.
I don't know, like there's something about them that's like, oh, and they never know who it was. Like,
I would say, I would kind of go back to that and I'd be like, but they would love to solve it. They would love to be like,
Oh,
we
yeah.
are the smartest
think-
people. You know what I mean?
yeah, like individual people would love to do it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think as a society, or maybe like pop culture or like brands or whatever or something, like it's cooler
Yeah.
unsolved, and then they
Well-
make money off of like making movies and making like episodes of
Well,
TV shows for it being unsolved. And
If
it's
we
like,
look in retrospect at our own podcast here,
yeah,
that's the whole appeal. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
literally, yeah,
Like people are intrigued by what's went unsolved and what hasn't been discovered and what maybe never will be, uncovered.
yeah, it draws a lot more people in. I feel
Yeah, of course.
like it's more interesting to talk about. Oh,
Yeah.
we don't know who did it, than actually, well, it was this guy and he did it for these reasons, and
yeah,
that's
exactly.
the end of the story.
Like we're not sitting here for half an hour talking about a case from 25 years ago that was clear cut and that everybody knows what happened.
Easy to solve. Like,
Yeah.
there was a motive there.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah,
It's like this is something else. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's like even with Zodiac, it's like who knows why he did it? We don't. We
Literally.
don't have a clue
Don't know
why he did
anything about him.
anything.
Except
that he
from
did.
the guy who loved puzzles.
Oh yeah, the puzzles was
He was a
like
puzzle guy.
Yeah, he was the puzzle guy. He liked himself some puzzles.
Yeah.
More likely he liked to infuriate other people
yeah.
with them.
With
Yeah.
these puzzles.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, of course, I feel like that's also part of the appeal. The idea that this is the intelligent killer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He came up with
Yeah.
codes that no one could crack, and it's like,
Yeah.
has anyone ever considered this? It's just a bunch of nonsense.
I was about to say that. I was
Yeah.
like, maybe I'm way off base here, but like, what if he literally just do like random
Yeah,
symbol on a
what
piece of paper and was like,
yeah.
have it?
Yeah, what if he did just do that?
That's
That would explain why nobody's really cracked it. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
those guys for 2021 said they did, but like, I feel like they didn't. You know what I
Nah.
mean? It's like,
I don't know. There's a way to like. It's interesting. It's
Yeah.
it's like sort of like, kind of like a little joke he's playing.
yeah.
Like, haha.
Wow. Oh, haha! You
I
can't
just
catch
made
me.
I just made these little
Ha, ha, ha,
patterns on a
ha,
bit of
ha.
paper, and now you're
Yeah.
spending all your time trying to figure them out when actually it's nothing.
Yeah, it's
I
silly.
just doodled.
I don't know. It's like, it's this weird thing because you can understand why they put so much weight on the puzzles, because they think, oh, the puzzles. If we
Yeah,
get the puzzles,
definitely.
we'll find out,
Mm-hmm.
who it is.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure that I do think a puzzle or two has been solved, so it's not all gonna be nonsense. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there was one I came across where he said, "Look for a teen," and it's like that is a message.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not maybe one that's led us to anything, but
Yeah.
it is one.
It's words.
It's anything he says words.
I know.
Come on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He could have put down nonsense and it would still be
Words,
words,
yeah.
you know? But I think that there is a tragedy to this. Like, and
Yeah.
how it's been perceived over time. Like, let's be honest. Like, who really cares? Like, wait, no, that's the wrong way to phrase it, I think. Who is out there talking about the victims today? We're here
Yeah.
talking about the killer.
I know what you mean. It's
Yeah.
really, it is solely focused on him,
Yeah, exactly.
which does take away from, like, they had
Does a bit.
lives, they had,
Oh, of course. It's
Yeah.
like, and he killed 6 people. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's horrible.
everyone's guilty for it though, like talking about the guy and not the victims, because it's
Yeah.
like, it's the act that everyone talks about, and
Oh,
he's the
yeah.
one that committed the act.
Yeah, everybody out there has an idea, and
Mm-hmm.
But ideas are ideas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't take it into real life and be like, Arthur Lee Allen, confirmed 100%, he did it.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Torrance, 100%, he did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
we ask who done it, we can't answer who done it.
No.
You know what I mean? That's the truth of it.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, that is what we're here to present suggestions.
Yeah.
But in this case, no suggestion has led to anything.
Yeah.
And that is tragic, because there's no peace in that for anyone
Yeah.
except him.
Yeah.
That's the scariest part.
That he's was just sitting thinking, ha ha,
Yeah.
I got away with it.
Yeah,
I
pretty
can
much.
do whatever I
Yeah,
want.
an old folks home, basically, just sitting and being like,
It literally
Yeah.
might be. That's so like scary.
yeah, it's true. It's true. You could be like 90
could be
something
like
or whatever.
Neighbors with your granddad.
Oh, I hope not.
I know.
Yeah,
But that's
Um,
crazy.
yeah.
That, like sharing a, I don't know.
it is insane. But let's talk about its effect in pop culture, because we've
Mhm.
touched on it a bit. But oh my god, there's so much.
Yeah.
There's so many, like, and let's be like completely honest, it's exploitative as hell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
It's like, why?
Mhm.
Why do you feel the need to make 100 TV episodes about how your fictional killer is actually the Zodiac? You know what I mean? It's like, that's
Yeah.
insane.
Interesting. Yeah.
He was a real person, guys. You know what I mean?
A
It's
real
not-
life
He was a
victims,
real
yeah.
life victim, real life people,
Yeah.
and putting him into a fictional situation.
Mhm.
Of course, I think a notable example here is the 2007 David Fincher film Zodiac,
Okay. Yeah.
which is a great movie.
Mhm.
Also, been like kind of rendered not entirely inaccurate, but kind of the situation has changed over the last like 20 years since the film came out. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
To the point where like the ending of Zodiac, spoilers.
Yeah. Fine.
Spoilers for everybody. It's not that special spoiler. Basically it implies that Arthur Lee Allen did it. But
Okay.
here's the thing. He doesn't know, David Fincher doesn't know
Doesn't
that
know that.
Arthur
yeah.
Lee Allen did it, So I do think that at the time he was one of the only big suspects though. So I do understand why it was kind of went that way.
Yeah.
Because obviously thematically in storyline sense, you don't want to end with just we don't know. You know what I mean? That's like, especially for like a big 3-hour film.
Yeah, that's
you know
true.
what I mean? Of course, that makes sense, like thematically and storyline sense to have it end that way. But
Mm-hmm.
nobody actually knew that Arthur Lee Allen did it, or
Yeah.
not, except him.
It was just an educated guess.
Yeah, exactly, pretty much.
Yeah.
But of course, very good film. I think I've said that a few times, but it's a very good film. So
I haven't actually seen it.
Go.
I know it's really bad, but like,
yeah, no,
I haven't seen it.
that
I
was
should-
your research.
I know. I probably won't watch it.
It is a
Um,
good film. It is
yeah.
a good film.
It's interesting to hear about how they just like fully
Yeah,
put it on.
yeah, of course. And I think even back then, it's like, I think when I was reading about this, I heard thousands of men have been named.
Yeah.
Like thousands, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that is shocking.
Mm-hmm.
And then for someone to go and make a film where it's like this one guy is presented as a killer, I think it is a bit disingenuous.
Yeah, it is a bit. It's just, it's interesting. It's like it's just misinformation.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I'm sure that everybody has their reasons for who they suspect and all that.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a difference between doing that and then putting it out onto such a public stratosphere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like at least suggest that that might not be right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I kind of lean on it. And then, of course, still talking about pop culture, in recent months, Netflix has put out a documentary
Oh, that's
called
right.
This
Yeah.
is the Zodiac Speaking,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is basically where the idea of Jack Torrance has originated from
Mm-hmm.
as a suspect. I'll be like fully open here. I don't think that any new suspects can be suggested in 2024 that probably did it.
Yeah.
You
I
know
mean,
what I
you might be
mean?
surprised, but at this point,
Yeah, no, and it's like, obviously, we talked about the reasons why people thought it would be him earlier, but it's like,
Mhm.
it's still flimsy. It's all very flimsy.
yeah.
Because I feel like that's the thing with documentaries as well. They always go out and insist that this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, especially if they're doing unsolved cases, it's like the
Yeah.
person that we put forward, he did it, guys.
Yeah.
But legally, we can't say that he did it.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
an example of them not like solving it
Yeah.
and like making a point of not solving it is I watched an episode of Criminal Minds, and like they try to make it that it takes place like in our world. It's very like
Okay.
and they
okay.
did an episode where it seemed like the Zodiac Killer was back and
Oh,
was murdering
no.
people,
Oh
and
no.
then it ended up being that it was just a copycat,
Yeah.
and they still didn't solve who the Zodiac Killer was.
It's still kind of exploitative.
No,
isn't it? You know what I
definitely-
mean? It's
it
like,
definitely
damn,
is.
guys,
I just was a bit like,
have respect.
at least they didn't say we figured it out.
Yeah,
like they were like,
that's true.
well, don't know.
Obviously,
like,
yeah.
they figured out who the copycat was, but
Yeah.
they were like, they played with the idea of it maybe being Zodiac had returned,
Yeah.
and then they were like, oh, interesting, and then they were like,
Nah.
no,
I think that
definitely not.
there's obviously a difference between creative inspiration.
Yeah,
I think that you can take inspiration from any source you want for like murder mystery or whatever,
mm-hmm.
but to actually put the elements of the Zodiac in there, I think is a bit too far.
Yeah, I think also, but see, because this is so big, like it literally is just, who's gonna sue you for copyright when you talk about the Zodiac?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Like it's huge.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
Of course. I feel like a good way to kind of include is like this idea that thousands of men have been pinpointed as this killer.
yeah.
Not one of them has been charged. Ever.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy that it's thousands as well. It's literally
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, oh, you annoyed me. You're the Zodiac Killer.
Oh,
like,
yeah, no, it's like a witch hunt, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
like
just pointing the finger at
yeah.
anyone who gets on your bad side.
somebody punched my mailbox. They're the Zodiac Killer.
It's very
You know what I
specific.
mean?
But
I
yeah,
don't- I-
yeah. No,
So-
literally.
yeah,
like,
no.
it's just, this neighbor's loud. Must be the Zodiac
Oh,
Killer.
I know. Somebody beeped at me in traffic. Must be the
Zodiac Killer. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, what's happening there, you know? I feel like, obviously, there's this propensity to be like, oh, the killer is out there right now. He's among you. But, like, here's the thing. It is so possible that the real killer has never been suspected.
Yeah.
It's
It literally,
like,
yeah.
very possible.
Yeah,
very
very.
true. Well, not very true. Very could be true.
Or maybe he's one of those 1,000 that was like briefly
Maybe.
brushed up on.
Maybe.
I think that also, it like, with the amount of like just pointing the finger. Like it damages the case
It does.
because then it just gets messy and entangled, and it's like The Boy Who Cried Wolf.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
very like, if you like genuinely thought that Zodiac Killer and you were like, I figured it out,
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, shut up. Like you're
Aye.
you're just
Aye,
another
that's a good
like.
point. Yeah.
It's just and then I think also, like, I don't think it will ever really be solved because it's also so huge now.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just messy and it's just
Yeah,
entangled and there's all these theories and that it just seems too big to solve now. Like it's very
It's like what we were talking about earlier. People present theory as fact, and that's what's gonna always harm the case. You know what I mean?
definitely
That's what's always gonna be the issue.
mhm
But to conclude our podcast, this has been Whodunnit,
mhm
where hopefully you got an idea as to who did it. Maybe. I don't know if we did, but you
I don't
know,
know.
maybe you could have.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been a pleasure doing this podcast.
definitely.
Been very insightful into a few of history's biggest unsolved murders.
Yeah.
And of course, this topic was actually suggested by our audience
Yeah.
on Instagram. So you know what? I have to say that I appreciate the input from them.
Yeah, no,
It was
definitely.
very good, very
definitely.
helpful,
Yeah.
insightful
Mhm.
in getting this started. Make sure to like and subscribe on whatever platform you're receiving this on.
Yeah.
And have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye bye.